This Fed Gov Today program is sponsored by Maximus. On this edition of Fed Gov Today with Francis Rose, the innovation to mission connection for the whole government to leverage. The Department of Veterans Affairs turns up the heat on its biggest IT project, and the VA's workforce speaks about what it needs. The Deputy Secretary of VA, Paul Lawrence, is here on Fed Gov Today with Francis Rose. First, though, the Office of Management and Budget says it's looking for a, quote, strategic reset in the way agencies audit their financial statements. OMB Director Russ Vogt says an update to Circular A136 is coming to formalize that reset. Elizabeth McCarthy is Senior Director for Federal Solutions at Maximus. Elizabeth, welcome. It's great to have you on the program.
Thank you.
What's the best way for an agency to connect what it's doing in financial management to deliver on its mission, to do that in an innovative way?
Well, I think that you have to really consider the mission focus first and understand what the drivers are that are pushing that mission forward for each agency. And then connecting the data that's driving the financial management information and how that can support the decisions around innovation and what you're bringing in, the use cases that you may be considering, where you want to start.
For data, a lot of agencies struggled for a long time to decide, should we just get started, but we're not sure our data is completely clean and ready for decision making, or should we really refine the data and make sure that we're comfortable making decisions on it? Is it your sense that we're kind of past that now?
Actually, I wish we were, but we unfortunately no. And that second part of what you just said, refining the data and making sure it's ready for analytics, is a critical step. And for any agency to really be driven by their data insights and effectively use their data. There are so many phenomenal tools out there for advanced analytics that can provide those insights that agencies desperately need. But getting data into a format that is consumable by those tools, that is consistent across siloed sources, is a critical first step.
What are the agencies doing effectively to do that data preparation phase? Are there tools that they're using, or are there governance strategies that they're using? What's working?
All of the above, actually. Strong governance, making sure that naming conventions are the same across data sources, using data cleansing tools that take a look at the quality of the data coming in, making sure that the fields are formatted correctly, again, across various silos, is an important factor to bring it all into alignment.
A lot of discussion about risk management and the frameworks that agencies use to manage risk across government. How does that connect to the way that agencies are doing financial management, the way they're using data, the way that you just described, and so on?
So security risk management is a critical issue right now, and there are a lot of opportunities to automate some of the manual tasks that have to be done to monitor infrastructure, data, people as well. And the opportunity is there. Maximus just received our CMMC Level 2 certification. With that, it helps us help agencies gain ATO on applications that can support them in their risk management framework efforts.
Mm-hmm. What is the people piece of this? You've touched on briefly, but it strikes me that's very important, and the way that the agencies prepare their people for the change that's coming through the kinds of things that you're talking about.
You know, AI is changing everything about our industry right now, and the change management around bringing AI in, upskilling the workforce and making sure that they're ready and prepared to use AI tools, that they understand the benefits of those tools and how they help them do their jobs better, is a critical part of driving innovation forward.
And what do you expect to watch in the coming months, next year or so, the way all of this develops?
So what we're looking at is really seeking to understand the use cases that each agency has and how they want to use AI so that we can make recommendations to help them on that journey the whole way, from selecting the right tools to providing the right guardrails and making sure the infrastructure and the people are all in place, understand the uses and the benefits, and are using it effectively and safely.
Elizabeth, it's great to have you here. Thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you so much.
You can read more about innovation all across government on today's show page at fedgovtoday.com. Up next, the Department of Veterans Affairs turns up the heat on its biggest IT project. FedGov Today with Francis Rose. We'll be right back.
Innovation doesn't wait, and neither do we. At Maximus, we solve problems, streamlining operations, delivering solutions at speed and scale that drive measurable results. From strategy to execution, we simplify complexity, building trust through expertise and innovative technology. Every service, every time. Efficient government delivered. We don't follow innovation, we drive it. Maximus.
Trust nobody and verify everything throughout your environment. So that's very, very important to do. And you're verifying, do I have the right security in my environment? Do I have the technical components built in to actually drive security? And a lot of, I'd say, assessments are what I would call feelings-based assessments. So I will, meet with the stakeholder and say, how is security in your environment? How are you doing, right? And they'll tell you how they feel about their security and where it is. We want to change that to more technical focused assessments where you're actually getting under the hood of those systems, under the hood of those environments, and really evaluating the security as it's being completed on that system.
Welcome back. The Department of Veterans Affairs will start a new wave of rollouts of its electronic health records management system next year. 13 sites across the VA healthcare system will begin using the EHR in 2026. Paul Lawrence is Deputy Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Paul, welcome. It's great to talk to you again. Thanks for coming on the program. What have you learned about the EHR system and its deployment since you came back to VA this time around?
Thanks for having me, and thanks for your continued interest and support of veterans. Since we've come back, there's been a whole new approach. I think you're aware when Secretary Collins was confirmed, he talked about we've got to not just start doing this, but accelerate the pace. Because you remember the Biden administration stopped for 2 years, and we really need to get this going. This will be a powerful tool that helps our veterans, improves the experience for our providers, and quite frankly, sets the groundwork for innovation across all of VA. I've been to 10 of the sites already or so, and I've seen a team that's very excited to get going. They really understand how it's going to improve their lives as providers and what it's going to mean for their veterans. So far, so good. We're looking forward to on-time deployments that sort of wave in 2026.
The Biden administration paused the deployment because of a number of problems, both on the VA side and on the contractor side. What's your sense of what's happened in the interim that gives you confidence that you can restart next year and make a lot of progress?
Certainly. The Secretary's been very focused on standardizing work. And I think what happened before was a lot of customization, which was something, strong leadership can prevent from happening. So the Secretary's very clear. And quite frankly, I noticed in your intro, you called this an IT project. I want to give you a little bit. It is a transformation project that happens to involve IT, because this is really going to change how we provide better care for our veterans. So that in itself is pretty exciting.
There's no doubt that it's an information technology program as well as a service delivery program, something that you know a lot about from your previous tenure in VA. How does that inform the way that you're looking, not just specifically at the EHR, but in all of the tasks that you undertake as the Deputy Secretary?
Well, that's right. Technology underpins everything we do at VA, so you can't help but miss that. But also, these are really business problems. We use technology to deliver better health care. We use technology to get people their benefits faster. So it's just an understanding of the world we live in, but never forgetting that the real goal, like the veteran said, like the Secretary says, put the veterans at the center of everything we do. If you think about what the veterans experience, then you understand what we're doing and the tools we should use to deliver that promise.
VA is one of the leading agencies, I think, in delivering customer experience, veteran experience. Been doing that throughout administrations of both parties for a number of years. years. How's that paying off in your view in the way that this will deliver service for veterans?
Oh, it's very important we do that. In fact, I was out at a site in Chicago where they already have the new health record, and I had a round table with about 10 veterans, and we talked specifically about how their healthcare experience was different and better with the new health record. Throughout VA, we depend upon feedback from our veterans all the time to learn about what they want more of, less of, some features that really inform us. And it's powerful feedback to be able to say, we're doing this because veterans told us this is what they want.
What's the feedback that you're getting from the care providers, both good and bad, and how are you demonstrating to them that we're giving you more of the good stuff that you told us about and we're fixing the stuff that you told us you don't like?
Well, directly. They're telling us directly, we want to practice medicine, not copy and paste and click through an electronic health record that is cumbersome. And they talk to other folks in our system who are using it and are experiencing that and say, you know, I really get to practice medicine and not spend the entire time transcribing history when I talk to a veteran.
I read that about these 13 locations. How did you choose them? I see there are some connections to some of them geographically and the way that veterans work through the system and so on.
Well, that was exactly it. The Secretary convened folks from our providers, our contractors, and how should we do it? And they came up with essentially, we'd call it a vision approach, a geography-based approach, so that everybody sort of moved together, because a lot of the medicine is delivered connected, right? Veterans will move through the geography to different facilities to get their care. So we thought the geographic approach was the best.
The exact number escapes me, but I believe there are 140 some facilities around the country. At what point do you see being able to hit kind of critical mass and be able to scale from the, I think you said there are 10 now, 13 more in 26 to be able to get full speed across the system?
Well, I'm not making news today, but we are rolling out a schedule that will show how we're going to do it through the sites through 2031, so you'll be able to have me come back and take you through the details of one of those.
I will look forward to that. And I imagine, did you use the same theories that you just talked about, same strategies?
You'll
that
see
you
it
just
rolled out
about?
in geographic waves.
What are the things that you would like to see the individual locations do to be able to be ready as they come online and start to be able to deliver?
Certainly. We provide a whole host of instructions, whether you're several years out, what you should be buying so your equipment will hook up to the system, what you should be doing and preparing, cleaning data, doing these sort of things, as well as beginning to understand how you're going to talk to your team about changing. This is really a big change to the providers. We think a better change, but they do need to be talked through that and explained. So we do a lot of what's in it for you. Again, more medicine, less data entry, and really making them say, this will be better for all of us.
What is happening in order to accommodate technologies that we may or may not exist? When I first started talking about this system 6-8 years ago, nobody had any idea that artificial intelligence would be as prominent as it is in healthcare provision. How is VA and how is the contractor working on this system to make sure that it can accommodate any kind of new breakthroughs in technology?
Well, this has been actually thought about in advance, and the contractor was chosen in part because of their approach to providing their technology commercially and anticipating the exact sort of things you're talking about. Just today, we had a conversation about new technologies that could make the experience for our providers even better and easier.
What are the things that the providers have said they would like to see the system do, or they would like to do less of moving forward? You talked already about the cutting and pasting versus the provision of care.
All the information right there. I don't want to do history. I want to talk to the veteran about what the situation is now. I don't want to do history. I want all the tests there. I don't want to have to go look for information. And I want their whole history back to the time they served in the military. We can do that. The experience about talking to the veteran directly and understanding their present situation will be pretty fantastic. And don't forget, all this money we're spending at the VA is to make our veterans' lives better. We look forward to a time when people look back and say, you know, veterans are healthier on average than folks who didn't serve. And maybe the civilians will go, gee, maybe I should have joined. This is a really pretty powerful experience, and we think the electronic health record will get us there.
DOD's deployment is well apace. Coast Guard's deployed it. There are some other sectors across government that have used the EHR. What have you been able to learn from those organizations to apply to your deployment?
Lots of best practices in terms of some of the ways you expose users to this. Lots of things to avoid, and they've been candid about that. But it's a difficult experience no matter how you dress it up. It's change, it's hard, and the like. So we know that. And again, attention to detail and just, being there as people experience the change.
That's a great place to take a pause. Paul, stand by, and we'll continue in a moment. You'll hear more from Paul Lawrence when Fed Gov Today with Francis Rose continues in a moment.
The Europeans are saying the same thing. Give me something fast that works now at scale. And that's kind of what we're hearing from on the U.S. side, right? Artificial intelligence is giving us some new ability to control systems, differently than what we did before, as well as make decisions. And so I think in general, where we're moving right now gives us some opportunities uniquely to our time where we can get to a lot of capability without necessarily the government having to dump years and years of research and development into something they may not see for 10 years. And by the time they get it, it's already, technology's already moved past, right? So the idea is we need it fast, and we need it capable, reliable, and it just needs to beat the enemy. It doesn't need to beat all enemies for all time.
From the technology layer standpoint, one of the reasons I joined Atlassian was because I'm a systems engineer. I think about things in terms of a system. Collaboration is everything in a system because you're understanding like the interdependencies of people and processes and platforms and things like that. And so I thought it was really valuable to be able to build platforms that have capabilities that allow teams to collaborate. And Atlassian was really attractive to me from that perspective. Our stock ticker is team, literally. So it's really about how do we empower teams to maximize their productivity, to maximize the outcomes for their particular mission, whether it's an agency or a company.
Welcome back. My conversation continues now with Paul Lawrence, the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Paul, you mentioned in the first segment that you've visited a lot of locations already in the time that you've been back at VA. Not just about the EHR, but about what VA does in general. What are people telling you, both the VA employees and the folks that you talk to that are veterans receiving service from VA?
Sure. Well, when I'm in the hospitals, primarily, I talk with VA employees, and they're very much ready for change. Some have been anticipating the new electronic health record for several years before, but they understand the value that it brings. When I'm out visiting, every evening I go to a VFW or American Legion post, convene veterans, and hold a roundtable and discuss what's working, what we can do to improve. By and large, you'd be surprised, the compliments outweigh the concerns, and the compliments are around healthcare. They're noticing the faster delivery of benefits since President Trump was inaugurated. Some of the comments are about improved customer service. Think about doing this when you answer the phones for us. Would you have a call back? What might you do? But by and large, very complimentary, and quite frankly, they're very candid about what they would like to see more of and the differences. So it's invaluable feedback, which I go back and talk to people about, and I say it's based on what people told us, and that's very powerful.
What are the concerns that you hear? Are there some that are common threads among the different parts of the country that you go to and different types of veterans that you talk to?
Not so much. It's generally the characteristics of the delivery of service. Can it be faster, which seems to be, how fast we do it. Can it be faster? Can you think about making the information easier to access? But also we have a generational thing going on. Some would say, I want technology, I want more. Others would say, in the part of the country I live in, believe it or not, internet is hard. What are the options for me to receive stuff besides on the internet? So it's a range of things that, veterans experience.
The generational issue, I imagine, is particularly challenging because I'm counting on the fly, but I imagine I'm thinking at least 5 generations that you're dealing with now. If you go all the way back, you still have some World War II vets that you're caring for.
That's exactly right. In fact, I was just speaking to the Vietnam Veterans of America Association. They're now about 80 years old, and they know that. So their conversation 5 years ago was about Agent Orange benefits. Now it's about what they know as the silver tsunami. How are we helping our veterans age? So it really does depend upon the generation and where they are.
That's kind of the flip side, I suppose, of delivering better care, is that you have more and more constituents all the time because they're staying alive longer. How do you approach that from a strategic perspective?
Well, carefully. We have to plan that out. And as you know, a lot of veterans' homes are run by the states, so we spend a lot of time talking to our state counterparts and coordinating and inspecting to make sure the care they deliver is very high.
You talked about faster delivery of benefits. What's happening inside VBA, and what would you like to see continue to happen or start to happen inside VBA to continue to deliver those benefits more quickly?
Well, as you know, when we returned, President Trump returned, the backlog on benefits delivery was 265,000 claims, just an outrageously large number. This was one of the first things Secretary Collins focused on and said, that is too many and too long. So a great deal of effort has been to reduce that. This morning I looked, it's about 150,000, which we still think is too high, but we're really making real improvements. Earlier this month, or late last month, we just passed the greatest number of claims VBA has ever done with 10 weeks, 6 weeks left in the fiscal year. Same employees as last year, actually a few less, to be honest. So we know things are going well, but we need to lower that number. When President Trump was here the first time, the backlog was at 65,000, so we know there's lots more to be done to get our veterans timely benefits.
Is there a right number or an acceptable number besides zero?
It should be below 100,000.
And that's a number that then means that the turnaround time is reasonable enough to be able to deliver in a timely way.
We monitor the turnaround time. We know our veterans want their claims in less than 125 days. Right now it's running about 100 days, but we think we can do even more. And here's where technology really may help us, because of course, as you know, get stuff on Amazon in 2 hours. Why can't you have it? And that's a benchmark we think about all the time.
Well, and that's where I wanted to go next. Actually, is the moving from the 200 and some thousand backlog down to 150,000. What's driving that with the same amount of employees? Is it automation? Is it a governance or strategy approach that's different than before? How are you getting from there to here?
So in the short run, it's better management, better adherence to process, procedures, good old-fashioned management, measurement, reporting, getting folks focused. Bringing people back to the office really made a difference earlier in the spring. So a lot of that long run, the technology, things will play into place. We have a bunch of seeds planted, and they will yield early next year, we think.
You've lost a lot of people over the last 6 months or so. What are you doing to tell the workforce, this is where we are, and give them a strategic vision for where you want to go from a workforce perspective?
Certainly. The Secretary's been very clear in terms of his priorities and how he's executing the President's wishes. We have a fantastic workforce, and we actually haven't lost that many. We think by the end of the year there'll be 30,000 fewer people than there were before. But don't forget, we have a workforce of 450,000, many of whom are veterans and are really drawn by the cause. So we think what you're seeing through the faster delivery of benefits is a good benchmark for how things are improving, and that's what I hear when I go out and talk to veterans. So we think we have a great workforce, and it's just a matter of keeping after it.
Do you think you are where you are as far as the size of the workforce, or do you expect to shrink the force a little bit more?
No, the Secretary's been clear. The 30,000 will be sufficient. We expect, though, that over time we will continue to tweak and streamline where we think appropriate. We have a lot of visions of where we can consolidate, but don't forget, we're doing all of this, whether we're cutting contracts or consolidating, to free up resources we can use to deliver care. Hire more doctors, hire more providers, hire more claims processors. We've been very clear from the very beginning. We are not cutting benefits. We are not cutting health care. We are expanding them as fast as we can with the money we have.
How are you communicating that message to veterans, especially cases where veterans see a different view than what you just described?
Well, I want to know about the different views because we don't think they're fact-based, and we think there's some of that lingering from the previous term. Everywhere we go, I give the same version of that speech. The Secretary talks about it all the time. We know why we're here, is to take care of our veterans, and if they're not feeling that, we want to understand why, because that's our intention, and that's the focus of everything we do.
You and I talked a number of times in the period between when you left the first Trump administration and when you came back. You've never wavered in your passion for veterans. What's different about the department since you left and since you've come back? How has it changed either the construction of the workforce, the way that the agency delivers service, the way that it takes care of the veterans, anything? What's different then compared to now?
Well, I think there's a seriousness in the administration. I think President Trump understands his time is limited and we have limited time to go and do the things we want to do. So I think there's much more intensity and urgency felt. I will also tell you what's different is bringing everybody back to work. I mean, I think the effects of the pandemic charitably lingered too long. I think people are better working together, and I think we've seen a lot of that. Same focus, same workforce focused on the mission, and a leadership that really understands. A lot more veterans here now understand what we're doing and why.
We have about a minute left. Have you gotten much resistance or pushback from employees to come back to the office?
Not initially, yes. It's nice to be at home doing nothing. So once we figured out who those people were and convinced them they should return to work, but I think people really do understand. They want to come to work. There's something special, perhaps almost magical about serving veterans that it really, it attracts the people that we want to work at VA. And they will say years from now, yeah, I earned some money, but I serve veterans, and that's the satisfaction I have when I think about my career. So we want people like that to come work at VA, tell all their friends to come there.
30 seconds left, Paul. Is it your sense that a lot of the folks that were working at home were not working as much as you would have liked them to?
I don't know that because, of course, I was on sabbatical, as you point out. My sense from afar, they like to hire people, and service didn't improve. Benefits took longer, so I don't know what they were doing. But we now know, with many of the same people, most of them, with stronger management, we can deliver benefits to veterans faster, provide them care with more options quicker. And so we're excited about the direction we're going and what we can do for veterans.
It's great to have you here, Paul. Thanks for joining me. I
Thank you again
it.
for supporting veterans, Francis.
You can read more about everything Paul and I discussed on today's show page at fedgovtoday.com. Every one of our programs, including this one, is available on the Fed Gov Today YouTube channel at the same time it's on TV, and then on demand anytime. If you want to make sure you don't miss any Fed Gov Today shows, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find a link at the bottom of the page at fedgovtoday.com, or just search Fed Gov Today on YouTube. Fed Gov Today continues in a moment.
Lean into FedRAMP more than ever, because government's trying to find easier ways for new technology to come in. It also creates an opportunity for ATO accelerators and those focused on delivering automation in that process. So there's a whole market of great companies that are either just forming or starting to really accelerate that can help companies come into government through the FedRAMP process much faster. Mm-hmm.
Welcome back. In today's event spotlight, the nation's premier unclassified event for intelligence and national security is the AFCEA-INSA Intelligence and National Security Summit. The 12th annual edition's coming next week, September 18th and 19th, at the Gaylord National Resort in National Harbor, Maryland. You'll see senior leaders from government, industry, and academia discussing capabilities, technologies, and challenges shaping the U.S. national security mission. You can read more about the summit and sign up for it at fedgovtoday.com/events. FedGov Today TV returns next Sunday morning at 10:30. You'll meet two U.S. Army leaders on the front lines of electronic warfare. I'm Francis Rose. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching and have a great week. If you want insights from agency and industry leaders on the latest topics in technology, management, workforce, defense, and acquisition, sign up for the FedGov Today podcast with me, Francis Rose. I release new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday, so you'll stay up to date on the issues that matter most to federal government leaders. Listen at fedgovtoday.com and everywhere you get your shows. Don't miss out on the conversation. Follow the podcast today.